Welcome back students to my lecture series on business environment. In this section, we are going to discuss industrial policies 1991. This is the policy which has changed the face of businesses in India. This policy is used to call even today also as new industrial policy because the changes what our government has done on that time was been using today also. After this policy, there were only a minor modification, a very small modifications in this particular policy. So the importance of this policy is like that. Even today also, most of the organization people were following this policy only. What the government is doing is they were adding some changes in this particular policy, and with this policy our government doesn't have any need to change this policy further. So after this policy there is no other full policy. There were only a small changes. Every year the government is changing in the industrial policies, but it was only a small changes. So let us start this policy. This policy was started on 24th July 1991 by the Prime Minister Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao and Financial Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh, who was the former Prime Minister of our country. Right? These two was announced a new policy on 24th July 1991. See, the reason for announcing this policy on that time is because of changes which was happening throughout the world. Throughout the world, like all the countries were started liberalization, privatization and globalization in their economy. If India doesn't start at that time, we cannot see this development what you have been seeing in the businesses, right? So the government at that time, who was being headed by P.V. Narasimha Rao, they have taken much care in designing these policies, right? These particular policy deregulates the industrial economy in a very high manner, and automatically the development of an industry has been happened because of these changes which were happening the policy. So let us start with the objectives of this particular policy, right? So the first objective is encouragement to Indian entrepreneurs, promoting of productivity and employment generation. So the first objective focuses on employment generation. So the main agenda is to give our own country people to start businesses from our own country people, right? Then the second object is development of indigenous technology through greater investment on research and development. I hope most of you know, before 1991, India is a very less in developing their own technology. We used to take technology of other countries, which is very process delayed, which is very costlier, right? So in this policy, the another objective is they should develop indigenous technology through investing greater money on research and development. Then the next one is removing the regulatory system and their weaknesses. Like before 1991, if the people were asked why you are not starting business, they used to tell because of regulatory system, because of the rules, because of the regulations, right? It used to take months to start the business, to take permission for starting the businesses only. So the government thought that that is one of the barrier, and in this policy they have taken certain measures, right? Then the next one is increasing the competitiveness for industries for the benefit of a common man, right? Increase of competitiveness for industries for the benefit of common man. So the competitiveness, if the competitiveness increases, what will happen is large number of companies can start the business. So as the companies were large, automatically the common man would be getting benefit of price. Common man would get benefit of quality. So what not? There were more benefits for common man if the competitiveness will increase. So the government thought of making some changes in the competitiveness, right? Then the next one is incentives for industrialization of backward areas. So the government has also identified some backward areas and they are given some benefits to start the industries in that particular backward areas. So the another objective of industrial policy 1991 is ensuring running of public sector undertaking on business lines and cut their losses. Ensuring running of public sector undertakings on business lines and cut their losses. So the companies which were under the public sector, there has been given insurance and their losses were being decreased. The losses for that public sector undertaking was being decreased. That is another objective of industrial policy. So the next one is abolish the monopoly rule. So monopoly means only individual will be running a company. So what happens at that particular time is before 1991 is monopolies used to run entire market. They used to maintain entire market. Like if you take bikes or cycles, only Hero company is there. So no other company has been there at that time. So there used to be a market leader. They can fix the price. They can get more profits. So there is so much of problems because of monopoly act under companies. So in this policy, the government has identified that problem and they try to abolish total monopoly rule. Then the next one is like bringing new technology to help Indian manufacturers. So as I told in the previous objective also, the technology is the utmost important for developing any businesses in India. So even in India, the people, the business people doesn't have get this particular technology at a high rate. So the government in 1991 policy, the government has taken utmost measures to bring the technology from other countries. Right, that was the other objective. Then the last objective is to link Indian economy to the global economy. Right. So to make us comfortable to do businesses in other countries as well as that country, the other country companies invest in our country, right? So I hope you can understand by these following objects. They've taken the measures of implementing globalization, privatization, and liberalization in India, right? So 1991 policy, the main objective we can tell by taking all these objectives, we can tell that in 1991 policy, the government tried to implement liberalization, privatization, and globalization in India. So, in order to achieve these objectives, particular objectives, the government has taken the following measures. See, there are so many measures, but these five measures were very, very important measures which changed the industrial scenario of the country of India, right? So those are like industrial licensing policy, foreign investment, foreign technology, public sector undertaking, and monopoly restriction and trade practices act. Industrial licensing, foreign investment, foreign technology, public sector policies, and monopoly restriction and trade practices. These are the five important measures. We can tell that these are the five futures of 1991 policy which changed the scenario of total businesses in India. So let us see each and every point in detail. The first one is industrial licensing policy. So industrial licensing policy was been governing by Industries Development and Regulatory Act 1951. So it was developed in 1951, but full powers for this particular act was been given in 1991. Before 1991, there are 18 industries where the individual should take a very lengthy process of licensing. But in this 1991, it was decreased to 6 different industries. The first one is alcohol, cigarettes, any products which consist of alcohol, chemicals, and aerospace equipments, then drugs and pharmacy, defense equipments, and industrial exposures. So they put a very strict licensing system for these 6 industries. Later on, there were decreasing, right? I hope you know, like last year, the government has announced single window system for industrial licensing policy, right? So like that every year they were trying to decrease the burden for taking license. You need not now, as of now, if you want to start a business, you need not to go to the government authorities also. You should fill a licensing form and you should give in e-internet. In internet, they will be having a one government website where you can give your total details. They will be asking you details regarding your memorandum of association, and that details has to be given in the internet, in online itself. The other side, the government agencies will be doing all the required process. You need not go to the government organizations to take a license. But these 6 industries, it would be a little bit process, right? Beyond these 6 industries, all the industries were being given a grant of uh, getting a free license, like a single window policy license has been given for in last year in 2019 industrial policy. They have been given a free license. So like that, you can understand this licensing policy how it is. The government has taken measures in 1991. Now, as of now, the government is changing a little bit policy. That's all, right? So like that, it was going on in the industrial licensing policy. Then the second one is foreign investment. So everyone knows that the foreign investment plays a very important role for development of any business organization. But in India, like we had a problem of foreigners coming to India and starting businesses, right? I hope you know how Britishers came to India in the name of businesses only. It has happened long back, but the government has a doubt. Like in 1991, most of the people was not accepting foreign investment because of this problem. But the government has taken very initiative step of calling foreign investments to in India, right? Like before 1991, it is only 49 percentage can invest in India. So what has happened is the people doesn't have interest because the ownership lies in India only. So automatically those people doesn't like to invest in our country. But later on in 1991, the first step has taken to change from 49 to 51 percentage, right? So this 51 percentage which was happened in 91 has changed the total scenario of India even. Like there were some companies which came to India and started a big revolution. Like you know this Hero company, which was been only manufacturing cycles up to 1991. But when this policy was announced, Honda company has tied up with Hero company, and they were totally starting a new business in the name of Hero Honda. Hero is an Indian company, Honda is in other countries. So because of this 51% stake only, they started. So it leads to manufacturing of two-wheelers in India. Before that, we doesn't have any manufacturing company of two-wheelers. Not only two-wheelers, in every sector, it has happened like that only. Like if you take four-wheelers, the Suzuki company came and tie up with Maruti. They started a Maruti Suzuki company which established, which manufacturing big model cars in India. Not only that, in every company it has happened like that only, right? After a certain period of time, this 51 was changed to 74 percentage, So it leads to more increasing of investment from foreign countries has been occurred, right? As of now, you can tell for most of the companies, it is 100%. What government is doing after 1991 is there was started giving 100% year by year for some companies. As of now, you can tell that most of the companies can start 100% investment in India. I hope you know what has happened in 6 7 years back. The government has allowed 100% of investment in retail, right? The Walmart, the biggest giant in all over the world, the biggest giant in retail sector has came to India after announcing 100% of stake, right? They started even 74%. They tie up with Bharat Airtel and started outlets in India in the name of best price. Later on, as the policy changes, as the policy changed by the government, this Walmart has developed their own investment. They started by their directly, right? Like that, every year government is trying to put investment of 100%. 100% foreigners can come and invest in India for most of the companies. Others, no. So like that, the changes were happening in the foreign investment. So this leads to a domestic change in a businesses in our country, right? So that is the one of the main measure which was been taken in 1991 policy. Then the next one is like foreign technology. So as money, the technology also equal role to play in our countries, right? So what will happen with this foreign technologies? We can complete the process in a lesser period of time. We can get more number of outputs, right? So all these particular benefits leads to increase the foreign technology, getting a foreign technology to our country. Before 1991, to buy a foreign technology from other countries, it is a huge process where some countries doesn't allow to buy their own technology. But in 1991, the government has identified some specific technology requirement which leads to high investment. And those particular technologies were being given automatic permissions. You need not to go for any government. You can directly go for the seller and you can buy that kind of product. Now it was opened, like how India has started in 1991. After that, most of the countries has started. So now you need not get a permission for buying any kind of technology for other countries. But because of this effect, the corona effect, the government is trying to change this policy also. From country to country, they are trying to change. Maybe end of the year we will be getting a new rules and regulations for buying the foreign technology, right? So like that you can understand about how the foreign technology plays a very important role in our Indian organization. So in 1991, what the government has done is they have identified technologies, some technology which were the high investment, and they asked the other country government to give automatic permission. And as of now, most of the technologies you can buy directly from the other countries, right? So like that you can see what is the development in foreign technology. Then the next and a very very important one is public sector policy. Government has taken some companies into their hand. So I hope you know public sector policy means public sectors means which were under the government hands. Public sector means with the companies which were under the government hand. So what the government has done is government has taken some companies into their hand. Why they have taken? Because of two reasons. One is the companies which gives high revenue were being taken under the government control. Why? Because if it was given to a private people, he will be earning high money and he will be like a monarch, and he will not use for development of society. He will be using for his own development, right? So the government has taken all those companies which were under under high investment, and the second one is which were need to the people. So the which were high revenue and which is need in the society, which is need for society. Those two priorities were being taken under the government hand. So why the needy sector has been taken is again the same thing. If it was given to private people, they put high price for that thing. Then automatically, some of the people will not achieve that. Some of the people will not get that particular scenario, right? Like you take an example of LCD. I hope you know. To manufacture 1 unit of LCD, it takes around 25 to 30 rupees. But the government is giving for less price, so that it will reach to all sets of people in our society, right? So like that you can talk about public sector policy. So the government has identified its importance, but what it has done is it has decreased giving. The government has identified the importance of public sector policy, and their work keep on changing from 1956. Uh, I hope you know, in 1956 policy, there were 17 industries under the control of government, under the fully control of government. Then later on, it was decreased to 8 industries in 1991. Later on, further changes, it was decreased to 4 industries in 1998. In 2008, in 2006, it is only 3 industries. One something related to minerals, which was being specified for production atomic energy, and second one is rail transportation, and the third one is arms and ammunition, right? So total 100 percentage investment or 100 percentage revenue for these 3 companies will be taken by government, right? Beyond this, there were some other industries also under public sector. Like I hope you know the names called Navaratna companies and mini Navaratna companies. What government has done is government has asked the public to invest, right? The public to invest, but total management were being under the hands of the government only, right? Beyond these 3 industries, there were around 24 industries which were under the government hand. Total management will be done by the government. There will be follow rules and regulations of the central government policies only. Beyond this, uh, so remaining 3 industries were being total investment, revenue, everything. Whatever they get, that will be under the government only. The reason is, if it was given to open to a public people, it will be affected in different ways. As we discussed in the starting, the revenue will be more for them, and automatically they will be taking measures and will be not giving to the society development, right? Like that, the public sector policy was framed very sensitively in our country. Even today, the government people were trying to change this public sector policy from time to time. I hope you know the Make in India campaign, which was been running through the government. So the government is putting lot of money, lot of investment in the Make in India campaign, right? So it tells that how government is to the public sector undertakings, how they are trying to develop their own industries base, because to get a revenue from their country, it all depends upon the public sectors only. So the government is trying to maintain this for a longer period of time from time to time. In the last policy under industrial policy 1991 is monopoly Monopolies Restriction and Trade Practices Act 1991. So under this particular act, what the government has done is the government has identified some organizations which were with a certain size. So under this MRTP Act, all organizations with assets above certain size were classified as monopoly restrictive trade practices firms. And these firms will be having a limit of entry and exit, right? Such firms were permitted to enter selective industries only, and these also by case by case approach, right? They cannot enter into all the industries. They will be having certain limitations, and they should follow that rules and regulations, right? As per this policy, 1991 Act gives emphasizes to prevent and control the monopoly restriction and also unfair trade practices, so that the consumers were preferred consumers will be helped to protect their own rights, their own regulations, right? So like that, in this particular act, the government has developed strict rules against monopolies, right? They tries to restrict the role of the monopoly. Because of that only, nowadays, if you can see the organizations who produces a single product, they will produce only that product. They will not be going for another product from time to time, right? There is a lengthy procedure of starting another company, which some organizations may also continue. So like this, you can see five different acts which were been there under the 1991 policy. So that is about industrial policies 1991. Thank you.